G'day, and welcome to ComicsMATE, your mates in comics from the land down under. I'm Dean James, and today we're back with another installment of the Sweet Baby Files. Tentatively titled The Gamergate Connection, today we're going to be looking at one Maya Kramer, also known as Lego Butts on X, and her ties to not only this new iteration of Gamergate, but also the original, her connection to known criminal Zoe Quinn, and everything else you will need to know about this admitted Marxist. And just like in part 1, which if you missed, you can see here, a big thank you to Aaron Alexander and News Lobster on X for putting all of this together. So if you haven't already, please like and subscribe, and I'll once again jump right into the absolute dog shit that is Sweet Baby Inc.
That is one big pile of shit.
The great author Mark Twain once said, "History never repeats itself, but it does often rhyme." In the past few weeks, a Sweet Baby Inc. employee, Chris Kindred, attempted to shut down the Steam curator group Sweet Baby Inc. Detected, and get the owner of said group, Cabrutus, banned from Steam. This attempt ultimately failed as the group's owner, Cabrutus, has announced that Steam elected to keep the curator group active. It failed in spectacular fashion. Not only embarrassing everyone involved, but it exposed all of the pathetic losers in the industry, and is what kicked off this whole thing, blowing open the Pandora's box of Sweet Baby Inc. and all the other DEI-focused companies in the gaming industry. As of right now, they are still attacking Cabrutus in any way they can, and still attempting to get the curator group removed, but all they've done is damage Sweet Baby Inc. to the point of no doubt bankruptcy soon to come. Not to mention whatever was left of their own reputations.
You're a joke! You know that, right?
The gaming access media has now circled the wagons to defend Sweet Baby Inc. in the same fashion they did around Zoe Quinn when they launched their Gamers Are Dead articles in August of 2014, which is what originally triggered the start of Gamergate. However, something else in this current situation looks familiar. Remember when game developer Eron Gioni wrote the Zoe post? One of the people who had illicit reactions with Zoe Quinn, and that inspired Eron Gioni, who was her boyfriend at the time, to write the Zoe post, that was in turn the catalyst for Gamergate, may also be one of the individuals who is the catalyst for its sequel. That person is Maya Kramer, aka Lego Butts, or Felix Kramer. After doing a bit of research for this video, I can tell you that Maya Kramer is quite honestly one of the most horrible and disgusting people I've ever seen on the internet. The longer this video goes on, the worse it gets, but we'll get into that in a moment. This woman has been involved in very shady activities for over a decade. For example, Maya Kramer and her paramour Zoe Quinn sabotaged a rival women-only game jam known as The Fine Young Capitalists through a DDoS attack on their site in February 2014. With the information in our possession, we could speculate that the motives behind this attack were possibly extortion and elimination of any competition with Zoe Quinn's own game jam, which, like her Chuck Tingle project, which raised $85,448 US, has never materialized. She was suspected to have taken that money and ran. Also, Maya Kramer was employed at a similar consulting firm that predates Sweet Baby Inc. called Silverstring Media, where she worked as a public relations and marketing coordinator. Among the list of advisors that Silverstring Media consulted with were Anita Sarkeesian and Jonathan McIntosh, two people of ill repute from the Gamergate days. According to a Reddit post, Silverstring Media is still active, but to our knowledge, unlike Sweet Baby Inc., they have yet to be working on major AAA titles. We all know who Anita Sarkeesian is. She's that washed-up old lady from the now defunct Feminist Frequency who recently had a wedding-themed birthday party in what was the saddest thing I've ever seen. And I was going to make a video about Jonathan McIntosh, but to be honest, he's a nobody. The more I looked into him, the more bored of his unoriginal feminist ideas and regurgitated messages I became. And I wasn't about to dedicate a week of my life to making a video about somebody so irrelevant, and I certainly wasn't going to subject you all to his ramblings. Fast forward a decade later, Maya Kramer has once again stoked the ire of gamers. Though this tweet thread predates the Chris Kindred incident by a couple of days, you can see where this is going. I get to see a lot of tweets somehow blaming diversity as the reason for layoffs, genuinely as if the economy was doing really great and capitalism simply worked before Miles Morales was Spider-Man. They also don't recognize Miles as Spider-Man. Well, that's because he's not Spider-Man. Peter Parker is the Spider-Man. Miles is a Spider-Man, like Ben Reilly or Miguel O'Hara. And no matter how hard you try, he's never going to be the Spider-Man. The weirdest part is when I see these takes from developers, or people who have dev bios, at least, I don't know, it seems wild that a dev would see thousands of layoffs and blame not the industry giants, but instead a 15-person narrative company founded by a black woman. Nobody cares who the company was founded by. Stop trying to hide behind race when that has nothing to do with your garbage ideas. And they are garbage. If they weren't, someone else would have continued your crusade after you were thrown out of the industry back in the original Gamergate. But no, it's only you and your small group of friends who believe these ridiculous things, which is why it was you same people who had to bring it back today. These people think a company of narrative designers that freelances on projects has somehow single-handedly caused the employment collapse in games, instead of, the insane notion of infinite growth or capitalist greed. It's easier to blame diversity than that somehow. Yeah, nobody said that. What people have said is that it is one of the major contributing factors to the decline of AAA mainstream gaming, which it is. I still think it's way more likely that they knew that's not the case, and are just fine with them looking stupid so long as it justifies them being loudly anti-woke, whatever that means. We all know what that means. The other part of this is it doesn't matter if you tell them the truth. They think DEI just steps in and changes whole games. That creators are forced by some unseen hand, the government, BlackRock I guess, as well as just POC in general, to make games more inclusive. Inclusive of who exactly? Marxists? The games industry has always been more than welcoming to anybody who actually loves video games. And that's the key. You have to love games, not just see them as a tool for your woke regressive agenda that is quite frankly super fucking racist. Fighting misinformation would be great, but social media plus YouTube is not equipped to hold people accountable to doing real research in good faith. Just getting hits and proving their point in the absence of confirmation. It's wild out there. Nothing has changed. Nothing. Sorry, no. One thing has changed. The number of people who understand that spreading misinformation just lets them be racist in public with no consequence has increased dramatically. That has changed. Probably requires some fighting from those with authority. Probably. Right. We have to force behaviors because the gamers, the people who actually buy the games these companies are selling, are the only true authority when it comes to something's success or failure in the industry. And as long as the gamers hate you and your message, you won't be getting anywhere. So we're going to have to change, not you. And then to close off her thread, we get this tweet mentioning Sweet Baby Inc. detected, which, as of this writing, did get community noted. One could claim that this tweet might have induced Chris Kindred to engage in targeted harassment towards Cabrutus. Once again, Maya Kramer may have indirectly begun another war between gamers, the gaming access media, and possibly some activist developers. What has Maya Kramer been up to between Gamergate and its current sequel involving Sweet Baby Inc.? According to the information we have obtained thanks to investigative reporter Nick Monroe, aka News Lobster, things have been pretty pathetic on Maya Kramer's end. First, she complained about LEGO bringing back police playsets after they were pulled in the wake of the George Floyd Summer of Love riots. This was performative. If she actually believed her silly rhetoric, she'd likely change her Twitter handle. This tweet spits in the face of those in the gaming industry who worked hard to make fantastic games in the past, present, and future. It seems that if one is an activist, especially a Marxist, and doesn't know a thing about video games, then one will get to the front of the line being hired over someone who has actual credentials in game development. This may then get one VIP access to gatherings such as GDC, a once great think tank of gaming, now reduced to something more like the gaming industry's version of Davos. Again, one of the people invited to speak at GDC is the CEO of Sweet Baby Inc., Kim Belair, who we covered in part 1. Surprising absolutely no one at all, Maya Kramer takes to her favorite pastime, cancelling those she feels gets in the way of either her or her Marxist ideology, complete with the usual racism, sexism, and using the anti-Semitism strawman. I'd be careful if I were you, Maya. Accusing people of things that are so dreadful when your own tweets are worse than anything I've ever thought, let alone actually said. Maya was smart enough to delete her entire YouTube account before I could get a look at it, but she was arrogant enough to think nobody would go through her Twitter account. With such hits as threatening a minimum wage worker with physical abuse until the death of a child.
Dear fat asshole IKEA cunt. I want to punch you until you have an abortion.
Blatant anti-Semitism with calls to exterminate an entire race.
Abort all the Jews.
Comparing the N-word to the term white girl.
Nigger is a term just like white girl.
You must know your melanin levels are far too low to be saying such things, Maya. And my personal favourite, jokingly admitting to being a pedophile.
If I grow up to be 1% of the man Bill Gates is, I'll be happy.
When I grow up, kinda stops around. Well, adulthood. Please don't make life weirder for me by saying, when I grow up.
You never stop growing. Growing up doesn't just apply to kids.
No, but the statement when I grow up made me feel like a giant pedophile. Shut up, Jamie. I know I am.
Boy, that escalated quickly. I mean, that really got out of hand fast.
Despite an entire decade of dead ends, even though the gaming industry still rolls out the red carpet for this failed grifter, Maya Kramer shows that the only thing that's changed about her are the pronouns in her bio. Maya Kramer is still the low-intellect, sadistic, bitter activist she was when Gamergate started. This time, however, Maya Kramer might have bitten off more than she can chew. She definitely has. This girl has so many skeletons in her closet, it's honestly amazing she is out there publicly starting fights with people when it's so easily proven that she is worse than her so-called enemies. There's a lot more I could say about Maya, but I don't want this video to be an hour long. But no, she has been accused of manipulating and abusing her position of power on multiple occasions. There are entire novels worth of threads written about her from her previous victims all over the internet, like this one, which I'm not going to get into, but feel free to pause and read this if you have the time. Either way, it's safe to say that Maya Kramer is a predator of both friends and colleagues alike, and should not be in the games industry. Gamergate 2 is here, and just like the original, this woman is heavily responsible. But that's all I have for you today. My name's Dean James, your mate in comics from the land down under. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys again next time.